Thank you for joining us today on Hosts Helping Hosts. Today we are joined by a very special guest with a plethora of knowledge in the industry. Sayam Ibrahim operates Hero Homes Solutions. He and his brothers are real estate investors and educators based out of Fort Lauderdale, Florida, with a portfolio that spans across the country. He's going to talk to us today about his journey and some tips about those looking to get into real estate investing and short-term rentals. Let's get started. Today we have real estate and entrepreneur and investor Sayam Ibrahim with us here today. He's going to talk to us about his journey and how he's gotten involved in real estate and some of the things that he's up to. And Sayam, thank you so much for joining today. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Thank you for the intro.
Yeah, absolutely. So tell us a little bit about yourself and tell us about, is it Fortune Builders? Is that right?
Yes, that's correct.
And how'd you get started? And just kind of tell us about your journey up to this point.
Sure. So my name's Sayam, from Jersey originally. Right now, I live in South Florida. We do business in a couple of different states, primarily New Jersey, Ohio, and Florida. We've been in real estate for a little over 7 years now, and had a pretty successful run. We started in real estate, just doing regular single family houses, and progressed to some commercial stuff. Right now, we've been focusing more on buying holds via Airbnb and some multifamily stuff, and that's kind of our direction going forward. The business is myself and my two brothers, Xavier and Emil. Unfortunately, they're not on the call with us today, but definitely got to shout them out. So Xavier Ibrahim and Emil Ibrahim.
Absolutely.
A little over 5 years ago, we started doing real estate. We were doing one deal at a time. And a little over 5 years ago, we took a course called Fortune Builders, which kind of brought systems into our business and allowed us to scale up. And from that, we went from 1 to 2 to 10 to 15 to over 30 deals at a time at our peak, going on at any given time, for a mixture of multi-family and residential. But so that's our business in a nutshell. We've been in business for 7 years and completed over 250 transactions.
Wow, that's incredible. And how does it work? I got to ask. I have two brothers myself, and how's that working with family business? It's always been a dream of mine to include as much family as any levels of the business as I can. But it sounds like you're working there shoulder to shoulder with them on these projects.
Yeah, so I'm the CEO of the business. Emil, the youngest brother, he runs all the construction, and Xavier runs the acquisition side of the business. So together, we have the entire real estate firm. It's always a pleasure because I can trust them, right? It's always nice to be able to trust. You can always work with people that you trust. But the difficult part is that when we argue like family. So when we don't agree,
right.
We don't agree like family, and it spirals further than it probably would be if it was just a random person that we were working with. So it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. We're very close, which is great. We go on vacations together. Awesome. We work together. And I don't see that ending anytime soon. So I love it. I wouldn't do it any other way.
That's awesome. Yeah. Oh, I hear you. Yeah. Nobody knows you like your family, and it's nice to have that familiarity. And you're down in the trenches,
yes.
Whether you're going through these crazy seasons like now. I mean, you can't really think of anyone better to kind of lean against than people like that. So that's awesome. So speaking of kind of crazy seasons, so how are you guys kind of navigating these kind of these kind of crazy waters that we've been experiencing these past 60, 90 days as far as kind of this COVID season here? How's that kind of affecting your guys' current business and some of maybe the projects you might have had come down the pipeline?
Sure. I mean, things slowed down for sure. Construction slowed down. The cities shut down for a while, so permitting and things like that was slow. Getting certificate of occupancies were slow. The rental business, luckily for us, we didn't get hurt that badly. We have some pretty good tenants in place. So only a few tenants took a hiatus on paying, but overall we were okay. We were able to strike a few good opportunities as a result of this, and help some other people out and that needed to liquidate for one reason or another. But our business has been pretty strong. What we saw in the Airbnb space, in the short-term rental space, is we saw our lower to mid-range Airbnbs do very well and stayed booked with some longer-term people. Even some people that had to be displaced came and booked some for like 90 days, 60 days. So it was nice with that stability. What we did see get affected, though, was the high-end stuff. So we had some beachfront Airbnbs and short-term rentals, and those almost 95% of our bookings of those got canceled. So so some of the lower end stuff had to subsidize some of the higher end stuff during that process. But overall, we were okay. Thankfully, everything was okay.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And we're hoping, no one really can say for sure. There's a lot of fluidity there, but we're certainly hoping that kind of a little bit, and we might not even see all the repercussions for quite some time. So who knows when it'll quote unquote, ever be over, so to say. But I'm sure hoping that a lot of the sticker shock is kind of we're closer to the end of that than we are at the beginning.
I agree.
So, and you mentioned short-term rentals and vacation rental homes. So tell us a little bit about your guys' kind of foray into that arena, and has that been something from the start? Did you guys kind of start with kind of doing some traditional real estate and then kind of add that as a part of the equation, or how'd you guys kind of get into that realm?
Sure. All these properties that ended up being vacation rentals, they were never intended to be vacation rentals in the beginning. So they were actually being renovated to be regular rentals. And then we tested the market and we saw, okay, we can get $1,500 a month on this unit, but let's see what we would get if we did short-term rentals. And we gave it a try, and we noticed that we'd get anywhere from 30 to 75, sometimes 100% more on the short-term rental. So we loved it. Wow. We kept repeating it. If it works, why change it, right?
Absolutely.
So our short-term rental portfolio, has overall been doing very well and has produced better than if we just did rentals. So I'm happy to keep building that side of the business.
That's excellent. Now, a lot of people kind of along those same lines, we get this question a lot, or what, as someone starting off in whether it's the real estate or the investment game, that with an eye on short-term rentals, what are some things that you and your brothers look at when you're looking at a prospective project? Like obviously different markets, different types of factors and things of that nature, but what are some different types of things that kind of stand out to you and like, okay, this would make a really good STR project for someone kind of maybe just kind of getting started?
Sure. So there's like 3 or 4 things I would keep in mind. One, you want to make sure that wherever you're going to buy that short-term rental, there's a draw there, right? Whether that's a university or close to the beach or whatever my situation may be, or downtown, like in Atlanta or something like that. You want to make sure there's a draw there, right? So that's number one. Number 2, you want to look at the seasonality of the area. I tend to like to invest in short-term rentals where it's pretty stable throughout the year. What I found in some of the ones that we have in Columbus, we get really great bookings in July, August, May, but then in December, January, we're dead, right? So you've kind of have to balance out the income from the great months to cover the slow months. But we have some in Cocoa Beach up in northern Florida, and that's pretty stable throughout the year. All right, people are come to Florida all year long. So
year-long travel calendar.
Yeah, so I'd focus on areas that are a little more stable in terms of having a draw all year round. One of those things are schools. I really like having Airbnbs around schools or universities, particularly. So that's one. The third thing is try to find a short-term rental that has a really low cost of maintenance and debt service. So if you can go in and you can keep your costs very low, you can cash flow very nicely. And I learned that the hard way. So I over improve places. I did them as if I was going to live there, essentially, right? Because I got excited about it in the beginning, and I realized it took a long time to recuperate our cost. So once we learned the balance and realized that people are not going to live there, you want to make it nice, obviously, but if you can keep your costs low and keep your basis low, you'll do very well long term.
Absolutely. Now, and I couldn't be in more agreement with you as far as universities are great, and you get traveling professors, you get people who might need a place traveling in town to see somebody for homecoming or the big game, or maybe they need a place for the semester and times like that. So and hospitals, we're really big on hospitals too. Sure. You get some of those, a place like a university town that like you get a rental that might be a pretty good proximity to the hospital, or these magnets, I call them, that are kind of overlapping, and that's when maybe it's kind of close to the nearby airport, things like that. For sure. Now, a lot of people during this kind of this interesting kind of season here have had a little bit more time on their hands to kind of focus on the process and some of the systems that they might have in place from a short-term rental angle. So it sounds like you guys, especially managing a lot of different things in different markets, if you could maybe speak to some of the systems that you guys on different booking platforms, or are you guys using property managers for the specific local rentals that you have? Or if you could
Sure.
maybe speak to some of the systems and automation that you guys might be kind of dabbling in relating to the vacation home rentals, because I think this is an interesting time for a lot of hosts to kind of take a breather, and as they're kind of resetting, kind of waiting for maybe a crazier, busier season. Maybe they have a little more time to look at some of these things that maybe at scale like you guys are, that maybe would be helping you, that might be able to help them a little bit.
Absolutely. I'm a big believer of hiring property managers for my rentals and for our Airbnbs and short-term rentals.
Right.
Someone that does this every day and has contacts and knows how to maneuver this, and this is their 100% focus, is going to always do a better job than someone who's going to do this part-time, right, on the side. So
Right.
I have other things that I like to do during the day. I have other things that require my attention. So I like to hire local managers to manage my rentals and my short-term rentals. So we go that route. Yes, we give up a little bit of the income, but at the same time we give up our time. We gain our time, and we get great results and great feedback and great ratings as a result, because those people are being very responsive, and where I might not respond for a day because I'm tied up, they can respond within hours or minutes, or whatever it may be. So that's the route that we go. At the same time, we have short-term rentals across multiple states, so it makes it difficult for us to have a handle on each individually. So we rely on our local eyes to get get things done.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. Now, are you guys primarily, when we're talking short-term rentals, are you really just looking at doing that on positions that are kind of more of are you kind of doing these like season by season, or like are these kind of more buy and holds? Or I know some real estate investors will actually, they might have a project, and then they actually can find as they're in the process of whether they're flipping or selling it, that they might find some STR opportunities to kind of fill the gaps in between, even while it's on the market.
Sure.
Do you guys kind of do any things like that, or are you just kind of stick to more to the traditional?
So,
okay, let's kind of keep
yeah,
it
we
for
do.
a year, to kind of do all of the above.
So we're doing all of the above. We actually tested what you were talking about in the past year on a condo conversion we were doing in Ohio, in Columbus, Ohio. And, it took a little time on the market because it was a higher price point. And in the meantime, the properties were staged. In the meantime, we made an agreement with the stager, and we ended up doing a short-term rental, and we did some type of profit split with the stager on the income that we received, and allow us to cover our holding costs, so you didn't bleed while it was sitting on the market. So I love that idea, and I think more investors should do that. I think they'll see that they'll increase their ROI on the deal.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, how'd you guys come across? So I have some family in Columbus. So how'd you guys get? When you guys kind of follow into different markets, are you kind of just are you just looking for good opportunities, or kind of where the real estate market might be kind of booming, or how do you kind of select some of these different cities? So you guys are based in Florida, right? So you guys are kind of branching out into some of these other states and things like that. How do you kind of determine, okay, what market do we want to go into? What markets do we want to stay out of? Like, we're just kind of where the opportunity is.
Yeah, well, New Jersey happened because we're from New Jersey originally, right? So that's where we grew up. We're familiar with the area. Florida, because we're here. We explore different parts of Florida, but we're here, so it makes it easy. Columbus, Ohio was a city that kind of just fell on our radar. We saw other investors buying there. We did some research on the local economy. We saw that it was booming. It was had a pretty good population. It was a growing city, had great jobs with many Fortune 500 companies based out of there. Big universities, goes back to the universities, as we mentioned before, so Ohio State and some other colleges based out of Columbus. So we saw it as a great opportunity. And it's a city that's been rapidly going through massive renovation. So we saw the opportunity, and the ROIs were nothing compared, were far superior to what we were getting here. So we dove in, bought one, then bought two, and that's actually where the majority of our business is now.
That's excellent. That's excellent. And are you seeing, as you're getting into these different markets, and you guys obviously have been doing this for a while, but are you seeing some of these local municipalities and state governments, kind of, I know this industry has been kind of on a rocket ship for a while, and sometimes some of the legislation and different things in place takes a little bit of time to catch up with them. Are you seeing that overall, is like, obviously this kind of COVID stuff aside, overall industry-wide, that a lot of these different markets that you guys are getting into pretty pro and bullish on the SDR and vacation home rental industry, kind of expanding more from, it's always been on the beachfront sort of thing, but now it's kind of expanding into, every day, whether it's Midwest or, out West or just wherever. You're seeing that those are kind of more and more of those starting to come around, be more friendly to investors and people wanting to get involved like yourself.
Yeah, so I mean, speaking about the few cities that we have, and I'm going to talk a lot about Columbus. That's where we do most of our business. But Columbus is pro SDR. The only issue that they have is they started putting some regulation around it just to tighten things up and make sure things were according to their standards. So before you didn't need a license, now you need a license. They come and do an inspection. They make sure that you have all the requirements that they have, like smoke detectors, which is what you want anyway if you're gonna have people stand there.
Absolutely.
So they just make sure that a certain level of standard is held up. In Fort Lauderdale, same thing. They come, they inspect, they make sure you have smoke detectors, they make sure you have fire extinguishers, and make sure the property's up to code. But so I think with the support of the industry came the regulation to make sure that there weren't any slumlords out there just renting for dirt cheap to see what they can get out of it, and making sure that the occupants and the customers are going to be safe. But yeah, absolutely. I every day I see more and more of these short-term rentals come to market, and I know many people that they've made this their sole business and they do very well from it. So I only see it growing in the future.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think that a lot of people might kind of chafe a little bit initially at regulation, but I look at it as a really good sign for the long-term health of the industry. Like, we want there to be regulation and taxes because it means that it's here to stay, So whether, whether it's the regulation or we want all these, large OTAs like Airbnb, HomeAway, we want them to do well because, these are institutions that are really kind of driving the industry forward. And I think that it's a promising sign for any time a market kind of has those different implementations, that it means it's a good time to be in those markets because it's going to be there for the long term.
I agree.
So, well, excellent, Simon. Well, thank you so much for being so generous with your time today. And I hope that, how are things in Florida, all this stuff aside, Florida, the weather going well? It sounds like you guys are reopening. Maybe sports might be coming back around the corner here pretty soon. Where are you guys located down in Florida specifically?
Fort Lauderdale. So sunny Fort Lauderdale.
Okay, awesome.
Things are doing well here.
Nice.
Things seem to be opening up. I see consumers out and about. They're in stores. They're at restaurants. So I think things are returning back to normal. It's not normal yet. You still got to wear your mask and stuff, right? But at least I see things going in the positive, in a positive direction.
Well, hey, we certainly appreciate your time today, and best of luck for you and your brothers and your whole family. Hope everyone's staying safe and healthy and has a prosperous rest of the year. And we appreciate all the tidbits that you've given to all the different people who are interested in real estate and short-term rentals here today.
Thank you. I mean, the pleasure's all mine, so I appreciate you having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for being on.
All right. Take care.
Thank you so much again for joining us today on Hosts Helping Hosts. If you ever have any topics you'd like us to cover, questions about managing your rentals, finding cleaners, what online booking platforms you should be on, or maybe you need help finding and plugging in with your local short-term rental meetups in your community, whatever it is, please do not hesitate to reach out to us. Feel free to connect and chat with us anytime on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, or email. Also, be sure to join the great discussions being held in our Hosts Helping Hosts Facebook group community to meet other hosts just like yourself. We would love to hear from you. We hope you have a great rest of the day, and please never forget the wise words of the great John Wooden: make each day a masterpiece, help others. See you next time.